agree with that. You learn to say, my name is Paul, I live in so-and-so, or I have a brother, which presumably by the time you're learning to hold a pencil are things you can say by yourself. This is the same in French. You're obviously much, much, much further advanced, more advanced than that. But basically what I'm saying is, you know, so if I said Isa, how would I say, what would I say is the masculine word for next? You'd say prochain. If I asked you to say the feminine word of next, you'd say prochaine. So a lot of these words you know orally. Does that make sense? It's just the alteration of basically reading them for the first time, because you know how to find them, yeah? So it's just to have that penny drop. So je prépare mes prochaines vacances
d'été.
Lovely.
Mais je ne sais pas encore où aller.
Lovely.
Certains.
Lovely. Certains ou certains?
Certains.
Lovely. Certains.
Certains d'entre vous ont peut-être des idées de destination.
Lovely.
Mer, montagne ou pays étranger.
Lovely. Okay. You don't do this, but can we make a mental note? And to be honest with you, it doesn't really matter, because obviously this is a written exam. The tendency to happen is, as speakers, you've been taught not to close the word necessarily, unless you know it's feminine. The tendency when reading is to close the word, because as an English speaker, you would sound a consonant if you saw it. So just be mindful of that tendency, but both of you betrayed that, which is great. Carry on.
Racontez-moi.
Good. What does the verb raconter mean? To tell a story, like a raconteur in English. So tell me. Notice with the command that you put the verb first, you put the person at the end, and if the verb is raconter, say for me, so relationship then verb, say for me you tell, so no, just literally you tell first in 2 words, so tu
racontes.
You tell me, tu
me
racontes. Lovely. Get rid of the tu, say tell me as a command.
Raconte.
Tell me,
raconte-moi.
Good. Okay, so we've noticed that with commands that the indirect pronoun in the sentence has to go on the end of the verb now and become basically an object pronoun. So racontez-moi. So for example, he sees you get yourself up, tu te lèves, as a command would be lève-toi. Okay, good. Lovely. Vous makes no difference because it's the same word either way, isn't it? Okay. So racontez-moi un voyage.
Un voyage qui vous a plu.
Lovely. We've done this verb before. Qui vous a plu, which has pleased you. Yeah. Merci Pierre. Okay. What verb is plu from? Plaire. Yeah. So, Paul, can you quickly read this one?
Vous répondez.
Accent on the
Vous répondez.
Yeah.
À Pierre pour lui conseiller une destination pour ses vacances.
Lovely.
Vous décrivez l'endroit.
L'endroit. Endroit. Lovely.
Vous parlez des activités.
Oui.
Que vous avez faites et vous dites ce que vous avez aimé.
Now, if we're saying 60 to 80 words, allow your blah 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 generic introduction. Allow your blah 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 generic. I enjoyed myself. So what's the verb to enjoy yourself, Susie?
S'amuser.
Good. So give me. I enjoyed myself.
Je me suis amusée.
Spot on. I enjoyed myself a lot. Now remember, a lot, well, is an adverb, so it comes after which number verb?
First.
So where's the first verb in je me suis amusée?
Suis.
Yeah, exactly. So give me I enjoyed myself a lot. Je me suis
bien
amusée. Well done. Okay. So if we were dividing this into a structural sort of, thing for them, and now this is what I have to say, and I really have to stress this. Were this the other way around, and this were GCSE and this were A-level or something, or actually no, the Oxford and Cambridge equivalent, because GCSE and A-levels aren't really for adults. That sounds terrible, but they're not. They're not, honestly, as long as you were writing in correct English, they would not care. You would be amazed how bothered French markers are about structure. Like, I've known people who are French who did the C2 out of interest just to have it, who have failed it because they didn't, especially when you get to C2 level, like you have to write like political things and you have to compare different texts, and it'll be like, you have to have like idée initiale, idée secondaire. It can't just be like how we would write a humanities essay. Basically, I'm going to make this point and then going to possibly either oppose it, or I'll make a series of points, then I'll make the opposite points, or I'll make the negatives first, and then I'll do this. As long as you structure it and explain it in English, you're pretty much good to go, aren't you? French is very niche on how you write an essay. So let's, with that in mind, so if we had, so vous répondez à Pierre, so you're responding to Pierre in order to advise him, So, vous décrivez l'endroit, think of that as a passage. Vous parlez des activités, you speak about the activities that you've done. Notice that it's que vous avez fait because activité is feminine, so it's got the agreement. Can you see there? Yeah, que vous avez fait. Yeah, the preceding direct object, the complément d'objet direct. Et vous dites ce que vous aimez, and you say what you've liked. So, say for example you chose Rome. Okay, so your section of, and I say mentally when you do these things, you generally get good at the exams, but you think a sentence is going to be 10 words. So you think I'm going to have two good sentences on describing the place. So Rome was da-da-da, there were lots of da-da-da. 2 sentences on what you did, and 2 sentences on what you liked. Think about your initial sentence as well. Think about your concluding sentence. Think about linking, like, you know, after that, ensuite, tout d'abord, pourtant, however, you know, I ate lots of, the pasta was fantastic, however, the ice cream was amazing, whatever you're going to say. So oddly enough, this is your homework, as you might have possibly predicted, okay? And I'd actually like you both to write it twice about 2 different places, because I think 80 is a little bit, 60 to 80 is a little bit inadequate, because the level of French is pretty whatever, okay? What we'll be doing next week...
The only point I'd just make on that is we are half a week through, so if our next lesson is Monday, that means we only
then
have
do
3
one
days.
then. Yeah, do one then. Yeah, okay. Right, do one then. Do this for me instead. Write it normally, okay? Write it completely, and what you would do is your absolute basic, go for a wee in the park, French would pass this exam, okay? Because it's A2. What I would like you to do is write it normally, write all those sentences, and then basically have ready already for me to pick out different ones of your sentences and say, how could you render that, even for the sake of it, even for the sake of being anal, how could you render that ridiculously more complicated, just as a grammar check? So you could be like, moi je suis allé à Rome, c'est une ville qui m'a plu, ou c'est une ville que j'ai aimée, j'ai beaucoup aimé les bâtiments, il y a beaucoup de bâtiments classiques, or whatever like that, okay? Lorsque, you know, je me promenais à Rome, while I was walking in Rome, j'ai eu le plaisir de voir beaucoup de vieux bâtiments, lots of old buildings, okay? That I've often seen, you know, in Hollywood film, que j'ai souvent vu, you know, whatever. Do you understand? So basically, one thing that you tend to find is when you get to more poetic kind of French, it kind of matches your poetic English, and the lower down you are in both, the further separate they are. So could I ask you to do that for next time then, and just be ready to pounce on, you know... So for example, if you've got a past, I saw the fountain, you know, whatever, j'ai vu la fontaine. It's fantastic that we saw the fountain. C'est fantastique que nous ayons vu la fontaine, okay? You know, I enjoyed myself, je me suis bien amusé, you know, en voyant, en regardant. Do you understand? It's just to deliberately push all our tricks, all our whatever, and we are going to make a physical list of all the things we can do to basically pimp an answer. Yeah? It will be, let's throw in a subjunctive, let's throw in a reflexive, let's talk about something prior to this in the further past. I had been to Rome before. Yeah, do you understand? We might throw in a cheeky passive. So we might say, you know, this happens a lot here, ça se fait, whatever, you know, in Italy. So almost, really, if you want to think about it, I'd almost like you to not be uber clever in this one. And if you really want to write a couple of clever sentences on the side, but it's just to already be ready to go. And if you already think you can make up a little list of stuff that you think is what you do to an essay to make it really shine, by all means do that. So write me your basic what you think they need. So I'm looking for 100% accuracy on this, and then have down the side some pointers on some stuff you could do. Does that make sense? Yeah, because it's just exam training. So it's obviously going over all the stuff that you already know how to do, but I just think it really is good just to mentally. So just when you go to write, last year I went to Rome. You know, l'année dernière je suis allé à Rome. Fine. Oh, I know. Last year, after going to Rome, I said to myself it was the best place ever. L'année dernière, après être allé à Rome, I said to myself, je me suis dit que c'était la meilleure ville that I had ever seen, que j'ai jamais vu. You know, it's just little tricks like this, okay? And there's only so many tricks for pimping up an essay, okay? Good, well done.
You have to try and do it in a time limit.
No, not at all, because to be brutally honest with you, this is so beneath you, genuinely, I'm not bothered. Yeah, when we do the B2s, yes, categorically, okay? next week together, we will listen to the audio from this exam, which I think will be an interesting experience in a comforting way. I think you'll be like, really? Especially after the work you've done. And then when I feel that we've done that, we'll move on to B1. Okay. And I think before we really start panicking or worrying, we'll be right up to B2. Yeah. And then you have done the grammar for C1 and C2 by definition, but it's just we'll just work our way through this because it's a nice vocab thingy as well. And one of your homeworks, I can tell you categorically, will be to be given an exam paper and just to literally with a highlighter pen, not even necessarily look them up, it will just be to go through and highlight every word you don't know. It's just a really dumb, easy thing to do. Brilliant. So I will use this as a video online, and I'll pop the link to this underneath so anybody that wants to follow the exam can find it. So great.